Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi all and welcome to episode 12 of the Blueprint Show on the winter solstice. Indeed. More on that shortly. What is the greatest force against the dark forces? What do they work against the most? What are they devoid of? Why do they fear us rising within it? Why have they done everything to stop it unfolding, whether personal or collective? And what do they fear the most? This song will tell you. Make love your goal, indeed. Do you realise that's fighting back against the dark forces? It's a subtle way of doing it. Not all requires protests and all kinds of other external things. Just the power of love crushes the darkness. Perhaps next year is your year to increase that. Because as you increase that, you're siphoning energy away from the dark forces. Couple of things before we go into the blueprint report is next Tuesday, which is the 26th, will be part one of the end of year review. Next Thursday, which will be a THI show, has been replaced with part two of the end of year review. And then Tuesday, the 2nd of January, part 3, the final part of the end of year review. And then we return with the normal shows on January the 4th with a THI show. And the next Blueprint show will be January the 11th, 111. Right, this was a revocation done prior to today's show to take into account the difference in time zones globally and to counteract shifts in date events to hide dark sacrificial programs. And this is the winter solstice revocation. We the people do not consent to calling in the spirits, demons, gods or goddesses or any other malevolent entities. They will be terminated upon entry and the karma passed on to you all who did the calling. We the people do not consent to the dark practices, black magicians using jinns or any other entities for ceremonial purposes. Consequences of actions against you and them will unfold. We the people do not consent to the collection of, abduction of, or any other form of coercion, blackmail or leveraging for any human being used as vehicles for host possession. Host possession is a form of calling in and the karma will increase upon those of you who took part in it. Host possession via walk-ins will be terminated upon entry. We the people do not consent to of any form of sacrificial ceremonies, whether real or role-playing, for the same dark intentions. No ceremonies or attempts for opening portals, wormholes or other conduits are allowed on this planet, and attempts to do so will be met with consequences of actions. The sacrifices of humans, humanoids or animals for dark malevolent purposes is now declared as of December 19th, 4 a.m. 2023, permanently banned on this planet. Instant karma and other consequences of actions against you will also unfold. We, the people, do not consent to any malevolent actions against us or the planet to take place now or in the future as decreed by the Human Restoration and Subsequent Blueprint Plan. Signed, The Guardians. This is the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams. Enjoy the show. Right, we're going to get into the Blueprint Action Group report for the week ending the 17th of December 2023. The final Blueprint show of the year. So we're going to start off with the book team report. They've been really busy, as of all the groups. And the audio and video versions of the German Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine booklets are ready and are posted to the media team. The German Consent booklet, Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine booklet, and the blueprint are available for use. The Dutch translation of the blueprint is at the proofread stage now, and the Dutch translation of the Consent booklet has also begun. The Hebrew translation of the Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine booklet has also started. The Swedish translation of the blueprint is on proofread stage by a few members. The Bulgarian Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine booklet is ready and has been sent to the web team. The Bulgarian Consent booklet is ready, available for use. The Bulgarian Blueprint book and the email for influencers are translated and now available for use also. And the first proofread of the Bulgarian From His Story to Our Story Volume 2 is now completed. A second proofread will follow and the index file is to be translated after. Now, on their last book team call, as always, we were happy to exchange information on the work we are doing, as well as how we are all doing in general. And we were asked to send a year report related to what we've done and still working on, what we have learned during the year, all about our motivation for the year and anything we would like to share. Now, the members sent their stories to be combined all into one report. Fantastic stuff. Now, the next report is the media team, and they are currently in the process of overviewing the progress to date as we come to the end of our first year since creating the media team. And we have amassed a great library of THI and Blueprint memes and videos to date, and this gives us plenty of material to choose from, and looking back shows how far we have come as a team and also as creators. And this also helps us overview and begin reformatting or creating in a different way. And as things are emerging on many levels now, we must find the time to pause and correct course if it is necessary. Now, in the past few weeks, we have discovered that the blueprint is now placed fourth in the DuckDuckGo search results, which means we get seen more easily if someone chooses to use that platform to find us. Another interesting fact became apparent on YouTube rankings this week. The Blueprint Show episode 10 scored high on the channel list, although it had only received 375 views. When compared to even the Vedas show, which ranked higher in views, one has received over 1,200 views, another over 800 views, and the last one to date received 450 views. Now, the reason the Blueprint show scored better is because it had received 56 likes from the members, while other shows with higher views received far less likes. And this came as a surprise to the team, as it clearly shows YouTube rank you higher for hitting the like button than simply the number of views any one show receives. Now, our ranking means the video will be pushed more by YouTube, which in turn helps to spread the word. Now, this week we have had to take down the latest THI show due to a copyright strike, and they also removed 4 more shows, and one of those was the From His Story to Our Story show. And this is incredibly disappointing, but also the flip side is we are being noticed. And that then becomes a win. And this is why, this is my input now, I created the thi-show.com platform where none of the shows can be taken down. And the point is, the clowns are terrified of our information and have done everything to try and stop it, but it's out in the collective consciousness now and cannot be stopped. Banning shows how weak they are. Not how strong, how weak. They can't handle the truth. So how do you get back at them? Keep spitting it out. Now, the team said that planting the seeds comes in many formats and in many ways. While some may seem obvious, they are not always the way it will unfold. And as we plant the seeds, how they bloom is not always up to us. Good stuff again. The research team report. Now, the Blueprint research team was only able to have one small group meeting on December 10th to analyse our mission progress and determine the next phase projects. Now, member family holiday and travel plans affected last month and will do so this month as well. Now, it slows the name approval pace, but in the next few days we will be reviewing a recent list Thomas has sent back to us. And it contains his choices for book recipients and those he is sent to or plans to, as well as notes of the remainder of others for us to send PDF emails to. Now, we must audit the list to be sure we have the email addresses for them, as the list that is sent to Thomas was with postal mailing addresses only. But despite a slowed pace, the worker bees added pollen daily to the database hive, and honey is in the making regardless of the outward appearances, and many seeds have been satisfactorily planted. Therefore, we consider the mission progress thus far as satisfactory. I think you underplay it, or downplay it in my opinion. And we have grown from having no names or data on April 20th, when we were formed, to 517 names, with daily growing data as of December 14th. A combination of 83 books and PDFs have been mailed and emailed, and this final project for the year will bring the total to 143 and has 3 parts. The first will add 20 PDFs to be sent per Thomas's list mentioned earlier. The second is to fulfill Thomas's request for mailing addresses of 20 US media companies to send the books to directly. And the third is to send PDFs to an additional 20 media editors. We have phone numbers along with some email addresses in the database, but need to acquire the headquarter physical mail receiving address. Now, we will report the names receiving the PDFs after we get them to Ovi and he has sent them out. We can report that our team reviewed our current list of 85 media names. Selected to receive a copy of the book are as follows: the 2 wire services of Associated Press and Reuters, The next are the 9 top mainstream broadcast media. And Thomas had suggested we seek their national editors or the clown readers. 1. ABC, 2. BBC America, 3. CBS, 4. CNBC, 5. CNN, 6. Fox, 7. ITN, 8. NBC, 9. and the PBS show Democracy Now! For print and online media we chose 8. 1. Al Jazeera, the English version, 2. Forbes magazine, 3. Huffington Post, 4. New York Times newspaper, 5. The Economist magazine, 6. The Washington Post newspaper, 7. The Washington Times newspaper, and the blog Zero Hedge. And Thomas will report back when he has mailed the books. On another topic, the team is curious about how to analyse the Blueprint book success, and our web team liaison demonstrated SEO, or search engine optimization, by searching online with just the 3 words of the new Blueprint. And he told us that usually the top links that show up are paid for by advertisers. But if you are at number 4 in the links, it is an OMG. But anywhere on the first page is generally awesome, and the results were amazing. The new Blueprint for Humanity was surprisingly number 4 on DuckDuckGo and was an awesome number 10 on the first page of GoOgle. Now, to further clarify how outstanding that is, consider this. Just typing in the single word blueprint brings up 1 billion plus results. And so to bubble up to the surface of that ocean is an astonishing accomplishment. Now, on our agenda for January 2024, each member of the team taken an equal portion of the influencers that prefer contact only through their website forms, and we will then begin sending them the link to the website and the PDF within a brief standardized message. And it would be like an executive summary of the book. We will continue collaborating with the volunteers team by adding the missing information they find to the database, and we will be focusing on outreach distribution on the different social media channels to improve the algorithms as requested by the media team. A new report this time from the European Blueprint team. The European THI members have taken on collectively the task of modifying the new Blueprint for Humanity to a European version. Several members stepped up to work on the text of several solutions which need to be adapted. And we do this in collaboration with the new Blueprint for Humanity group, where we can discuss in the bi-weekly meetings anything having to do with this project, ask our questions and get the support we may need in the process. Now, there are several aspects to this work, as for certain subjects it is required to study some of the Ucadia natural divine law material for a good understanding of it. And besides the more technical knowledge-based aspects of the text, the blueprint is a heart-based document, and that is our focus as a collective. All input and ideas are valuable, are welcomed and also respected, and so it will be a co-creation by all the members who wish to contribute to it. And we are aiming to have regular meetings starting next year. For now, we chose to do that on Monday evenings every other week, and this can of course be adjusted to the wishes and needs of the members if possible. It is exciting to see this initiative grow with the possibility to involve, inspire and cooperate with more fellow humans who have a wish in their hearts to create a better world for us all. And it is a process where we are on our way of learning how to do this and expanding and developing ourselves in being the best we can be, following our hearts, and in that way inspire each other. We are the guardians, and in this way we can take our responsibility for that. And for anyone wishing to contribute, please reach out to us in the chat or in a personal message. We will be happy to welcome you. The youth website. The You Think Different website has blossomed into reality this year, with content being developed for the opening of the website in early 2024. Now, the areas under development will be added to the site in stages as content expands. And we have decided to make videos of the 5 documents being written for website content because they will have a greater impact on the youth. And these documents include food, permaculture and gardening, law and consent, housing and job security solutions, gender, integrating divine feminine and divine masculine, and race, climate change, positive focus, respect for the environment and sustainable living. Assistance will be needed in making videos from the content documents. An anime script is being written about the race and gender topics. Movie ideas using THI concepts are also under consideration, as well as using youth with talents in the performing arts. Now, the following areas of website development are underway. Videos. The media team are helping regarding translating documents into videos, while another member is writing an anime script for her race and gender document for the next meeting. The documents are being reformatted to question form, as this steers the youth to think different and become more interactive. Another member is working on movie ideas using THI concepts and youth she knows from taking part in the performing arts industry. The Living Library. This will provide a place for the youth to book a chat with a more mature person based on their interests. This will not be a counselling service because of the complications with that, and candidates will be selected based on compatibility with the site. Ultimately, there could be short bios on available people, even featuring skills such as learning to juggle, which is one of our members' talents. We all know who that is. Mini e-courses. In future development, there could be a mini e-course section where skills can be taught. There can be hidden tabs for areas under development, which are launched when the groundwork has been done. Another section is Tell Us Your Story. There are 4 young people working on their stories, and the kick-off is with the young entrepreneurs who are excited to share their progress, and stories such as new beginnings after life-saving surgery and turning your passions into a business are key to this section. Tell a vision. Like TikTok or Instagram, this is a place for youth to share their visions of the future. And Casey is having exciting chats with 18 and 19-year-olds with that purpose in mind. Now, the chats have brought positive responses, and they resonate with the website name. The focus is on interpersonal development rather than the distraction of television. Website content. A member of the web team attended to discuss the website further and went through all the content that we have put together so far. Once we have refined the material, it will quickly be able to be inserted into it and onto the website to then go live. There will be some kind of security that will prevent typing in of abusive words or to prevent derailing conversations. A membership may be used to filter out trolls. There would be no cost to join, and a membership form would be more of a survey of their interests. And they will provide an email which they could use when they provide things to upload to the website. Vision. We want to create a place where youth can bring friends and also hang out. The more responsive the website is to their interests, the better their sense of belonging and making it their preferred place. It is key to live from the heart, respect others' differences and listen openly to others' ideas. We discussed a future parenting website. And this age group, 16 to 20s, is a popular time for having babies, and parenting will be of great importance to those with children. There will be a future parenting website to help young parents. And in Chinese medicine, when a child is sick, they look to the parents for the cause of the illness. The parenting website can be an opportunity to use ideas from the school blueprint. And it will also build a rapport for the Forest School project. Guardians of the Galaxy could be used with anime. And it's great to find people with specialities in different areas to enhance the appeal of the website. Again, fantastic stuff. Open discussion, topics and questions. The meeting had a new contingent from the Europeans this week as they are well underway with their ideas for adapting the blueprint into a more Euro-friendly prototype. It was very encouraging to hear their progress and commitment to this part of the process. Many ideas were shared about making improvements in the year ahead, such as flagging goals to monitor progress. It was emphasised that we need to take time to appreciate how much that we've accomplished this year. There will be brainstorming sessions at the next meeting to record new ideas. In overview, the momentum is really building within all the groups as progression is the key to expansion. Each group has covered much groundwork during this year and are beginning to see the seeds planted starting to emerge in many ways. And this brings with it a new set of perimeters, and a reforming of previous structures may have to be amended and also reformed. Through the formation of the new beginning of co-creation, we are learning that there are no mistakes, there are no errors, for they are the building blocks that kickstart something better. The tabula rasa that was ours at the beginning has woven its own tapestry of beauty that grew from the spark of light, which was the thought. The energetic spark that forms the thought and then becomes the action. Within us all, we are emerging from the shadows and the overlays, shedding each one as we gain momentum. Gaining an inner standing of our own depths brings a wave of ideas like a tapestry of colour and form. Coming together to honour the other brings forth a deepening of admiration for each one that evokes in us a remembrance of who we are and also why we are here. The shadows may be more important than we think, for they push us to want to be better, to try new things, and to stop focusing on failure and become a measuring stick for growth. You are only as small or as big as you choose to be. Staying small serves no one but the darkness. Though we have learned to thank the dark, for without it we would never have become a better version of ourselves. An artist creates from shadows and light. Both are needed to add real depth and also understanding of the painting. Each one as important as the other. And what lies beneath should never be feared. It is there to help us grow and strive to be our true selves. We look forward, not back. We embrace the shadow dancing and learn that we all have value. We are all just aspects of the other. No one is above you or below you. There is no race, no haste, and no competition. There is only the great journey of creation. We let go of the copy and leave the chrysalis to emerge as the butterfly. The flower of life within becomes the new blueprint, now seen without. And it's fantastic stuff again, and that wraps up the final blueprint show for this year, or report anyway. Although there will be a full year review from the different teams in part 2 of the end of year review. And I wish to say thanks to you all for the fantastic contributions to the blueprint shows, and we go into the new year with the next episode of 12+1. The flower of life within becomes the new blueprint was just stated. A reminder of a song that fits in nicely with that, with a twist, so to speak. Just remember, in the winter, far beneath the bitter snows, lies the seed that with the sun's love, in the spring, becomes the roost. What happens when you find out the roosts are the roses? Coming soon, early 2024. As you've all had a series of gentle shows for the past few months, some light entertainment, engaging melodic music and some gentle ponderings, perhaps it's time for some brain expansion again. And following on from our last piece, What is Love? I found more material on the theme of what is, and we will delve into another section called What is Time? Now, I have expanded quite a bit the original pieces to this, as a greater understanding by you all is now prevalent. What is time? What is the time? How is time? When is time? When was time? All interesting questions and ponderings. And we spoke in the Cosmic Genetics series about the time matrix, which in overview can be seen as Time-me. Time-me is a binding contract again that has never served us all too well. And time, like money, is a control system of harvesting, the siphoning of your life force energy by placing constraints upon you, called time, where they are shortening the time whilst asking us to produce via more life force energy for them to harvest and collect the shekels. It is just a clock, or is it a sea lock? Another binding word. It is just a watch, but who is watching who and why? Is it Greenwich or Greenwich Mean Time? Does mean average? Or is it just being mean or not nice to us? No one wants to go to prison to serve time. Is serving time a dinner, a lord, or a sentence? But words are also a sentence, and so words become a prison unless you decode them. Has not life become a prison sentence without the authority bar's version? Is not the worst prison your own mind that you must escape from? In essence, time is the prison. And yes, here comes some more brain-twisting time, pardon the pun. But the lesson we must learn is, it is time for no time. The two worlds we spoke of in 2015 is now in clear view. We also spoke of 2020, the time people would see. And those both now are prominent in our world. Hence the AI-based loop program of trying to change what is known as time, but ultimately time is an illusion of their world. And as we go towards the anomaly or the event horizon, time changes due to dilation. What is a few seconds here can be many years elsewhere. And essentially we are, or hopefully we're governed by time, which means to bind when separated, timey. Time is and was the God in here, a control mechanism and also fear-inducing concept. Why else would they call it Father Time? And the depictions of Father Time all looks very Jesus-like or God-like to me. A Jesus in an older form, a man replete with a long beard, which is the same depiction of the Anunnaki, is it not? Perhaps they are one and the same. Remember, we spoke of why the gods came here in the original From Russia with Love series, which became From His Story to Our Story. They came to buy more time with the elixir of life. All coming from the milk ocean that existed where the Himalayan mountains are now situated. Now the Elites still do it, of attempting to cheat time and old age by consuming adrenochrome. It all boils down to gaining from time. And so time becomes the God here, and it's wielded its fear, power and control on us all. The religious orders all call God the Father, and so if God is the Father, who is Father Time? Chronos. Who or what is Chronos? In recent centuries, he's usually depicted as an elderly, bearded man, sometimes with wings, dressed in a robe and carrying a scythe and an hourglass or other timekeeping device, which represents time's constant one-way movement and more generally and abstractly, entropy usually with wings, it said. Oh my. The New Age and religious elements will all scream he's one of the angels. Those who have researched properly will realise it's the fake gods again. The royal Anunnaki have wings. Just saying. But the man in a robe carrying a scythe is also a depiction of the Grim Reaper, the harvester of the Grim people. Your Michaels, Azazels, Raphaels, Gabriel, Ariel, Samael, Seraphim, Elohim, and all others of that ilk all came out of the Talmud book long before Christianity adopted the religion of the Hebrews. Now, the Hebrews in human form on earth were the black Africans originally. The Hebrews now are the disciples of the Hebrew Anunnaki, playing the same war and the same events of time out, all like a loop. And if these angels were so great, we are told an angel came to the entity known as Jesus before his alleged arrest. Why didn't they save the alleged Son of God? Why wouldn't God save his only Son? Does that really make any sense? But here is what does make sense of that analogy, because it is what it is. A misinterpretation of the narrative that is riddled with analogies in the so-called holy books. The real reason is because those gods in the past and also the bloodline families here on earth all sacrifice their firstborn is why. The other entities worshipped here by the Hebrews, or the more modern day term Jewish, is Solomon and Herod, who did exactly the same thing. Are you seeing a pattern now? The story of Jesus is symbolic of their earthly, not godly-based practices. A group of other beings we call ETs now presenting themselves as the god or gods. The Anunnaki beings are depicted in the hieroglyphs with wings. The royal white Draco appeared in wings, of which Anu was one of them. Now, some people will not believe that last statement, but their psychosis effect prevents them from seeing that themselves. They will look at the hieroglyphs and see a man. Ignore the wings aspect, because that is outside of their own program of understanding. But if you develop your own program of understanding and not accept theirs, you will come to the conclusion that A, hieroglyphs are disclosure of ET life, and B, we see with our own eyes and interpret ourselves, and C, we come to our own conclusions. A man with wings is not native to this planet. That means it is from somewhere else. That is ET Disclosure 101. It cannot get any simpler. But people with psychosis cannot do that. Yet this world is riddled with people living within time and psychosis. Now, they mentioned he carries the hourglass, which we in the UK call the egg timer. How apt is that? That we revealed the hourglass concept in describing how life, loops, time and events unfolded here. It is said that the hourglass represents time and its constant one-way movement, which is describing linear. Except time is an illusion and cannot be linear, as all events are past, present and future. If the hourglass represents only a constant one-way movement of time, what happens when you tip that hourglass upside down? Does time go backwards? I know, it's common sense again. But that ends that illusion of a constant one-way movement. The representation of the tipped upside down hourglass is a description of an Earth-based event of pole flips. North becomes south and east becomes west. China and Russia become the North America region, and Australia and New Zealand become top of the world. But what is up and what is down? Well, essentially, there is no up or down either, as it depends on your orientation of standing and also the objects. Australia and New Zealand are described as down under. Has anyone asked what they are down under from? Are they beneath the surface of something? Is Australia and New Zealand in a giant cave? Why describe it as down, which means below something, and under, which also means below something? The question is, what are they beneath? As above, so below springs to mind. But what is above and what is below is the great question. SSP. Not for much longer. But surely above and below have no real concept, as it is indicative of where and how you stand and your perspective from that particular vantage point. You're getting too technical now, Thomas. Just make it simpler. Okay? But if you approach Earth from a spacecraft from the North Pole, Australia would appear... the South Pole. Australia would appear as the top of the world, not down under. And so your perception then becomes different from the differing vantage points of observation, does it not? The sky is up above us, but the sky is also below us. We just can't see it as it is below the horizon. Look at the words below the horizon. The original version of horizon was to circle or bind. So the sky is not up or down, but all around us. Just like the universe, just like the dimensions, just like the planes of reality. They are neither up or down, but around us. And they use the curious word of skies, as in plural. But there is only one sky. The whole universe is one sky. If you look up at the stars, you will see the sky. If a being from Orion looks up at the stars, it will see the same one sky. The same sky, only a different vantage point. And so where does the term and meaning of skies come from? Some would argue the firmament, but the firmament is in the same sky. It's just an extra atmospheric layer of the one and only sky. But what if they mean the sky in the inner earth? Would that explain the reference to skies? No, because below our feet is higher dimensions and the upper world would not necessarily exist in the viewing spectrum circumstances. I'll repeat that again. Does the sky in the inner earth explain the reference to skies? No, because below our feet is higher dimensions and the upper world, which is us, would not necessarily exist in the viewing spectrum circumstances. In simpler terms, it's like looking through a window. You will still see throughout, despite the barrier of the glass. And so the inner is the outer and vice versa, as above, so below plays out here. The terminology of a window to the sky applies. Maybe the window to the skies are the large pole openings with a cone-shaped lens, because then you will see. So what has the sky got to do with time? Because we are told by scientists and astronomers that looking at each star is going back in time, as light takes time to travel here. But light is creation, source-based and instant. So why would it travel thousands of years to get here? Are they saying light is some sort of cosmic spaceship? Or is the term light years away some sort of mind meme, all designed to make you think it is not attainable? If it is not attainable, please explain how we are able to travel to other worlds instantly in the dream time. Oops. Final part tonight. Are we at the inception of ending time? Time is ultimately a contract. A contract means a binding agreement, but contract also means something more sinister than that. To bring on oneself, especially inadvertently, which means you were lied to or duped. To become affected with, which means you were immersed in it and became part of it. To establish or undertake by contract, which means you agreed with it and became bound to it. Remember, covenant and testament both mean to bind, all of which means religion is a binding contract as well. But contract has another meaning: to reduce to smaller size by or as if by squeezing or forcing together. Just like this planet and all its beings and fauna, plus our lifespans. But also by squeezing or forcing together, like the other matrices, like condensing time and space. To draw together so as to become diminished in size, the Great Reduction Program. To become less in compass, duration or length, which means everything shrank. So if everything shrank, how can space and time expand? Time's constant one-way movement, and more generally, abstractly, entropy, the description said. But entropy is a scientific concept as well as a measurable physical property that is most commonly associated with the state of randomness or disorder. And so entropy is a state of randomness or disorder. So how can that be associated with fixed and recorded time? The answer is it can't. Entropy predicts that certain processes are irreversible or impossible, aside from the requirement of not violating the conservation of energy, the latter being expressed in the first law of thermodynamics. And entropy is central to the second law of thermodynamics, which states that the entropy of isolated systems left to spontaneous evolution cannot decrease with time, as they always arrive at a state of thermodynamic equilibrium where the entropy is highest. Let's look at this line. Entropy of isolated systems left to spontaneous evolution cannot decrease with time. So what they state is the randomness or disorder of evolution cannot decrease with time in an isolated system. And yet we are told this evolution was not done out of randomness or disorder, but was created by a God over time, which is contrary to scientific conclusions, more so in an isolated system. But what if Earth was in an isolated system, and that system is governed by time? Time is a one-way movement, hence linear time, which means it can only go one way. All of which sounds like a countdown clock to me, getting you ready to call time on you. But all of us go back in time with memory. The memory inserts you back to the origin or the event of the memory, does it not? So at that point in time, the memory has installed you back in time to that event. So how can time have a one-way movement? The fact we have memories means it is not one way. Now in the past there was memory wipes, but it still didn't eliminate going back in time with the memories of this lifetime, and for some others, other lifetimes as well. But there's also vertical time, the time of no time, which is the gateway out of the time matrix with the 12 plus 1 open macabre. But let us break down macabre, shall we? Merca means measuring or a yardstick, and bar means soul. Is that saying within the bind of the Merca bar they are measuring the soul? If so, who? It's not source, as why would source put souls in a bind? And source resides outside of time, just like the golden path. Now, I've thrown out random hints in recent shows to see if some of you picked up on it. 3 in particular. Inside your matrix, God is time. God is an AI, and you interact with source outside of time, which is outside of an isolated system. And perhaps now those 3 statements make much more sense. If not, ponder on it some more. But as an image, Father Time's origins are curious. Yet is it only curious because they leave out key factors out of the narrative is why? But it also depends on which meaning of origins the writer was portraying. Origins now is where you come from, but the original version of origin was ancestors or race. And so origin is like the word nations. Both mean race. The ancient Greeks themselves began to associate Kronos, their word for time, with the agricultural god Kronos, who had the attribute of a harvester's sickle, just like the Grim Reaper, who calls time on you. A sickle is a curved or crescent-shaped blade, symbolising the moon. All celebrate the harvest moon now, as the moon calls time on the light of the day. But how curious can that be, that the father of time is also a harvester? Now are you connecting the dots? They are the harvesters of life force energy. Currency and time are replacements for your life force energy, is what they are saying. But what is the saying? Time is money. And money is a compensation for your labour. And by doing labour, you are using your life force energy. The Israeli word for time is eth, E-T-H. Is also on the stock market called Ethereum, which is an open-sourced blockchain cryptocurrency. The currency of the dead. Hence, crypto steals your time, which is money, which is life force energy. Coincidence? But he is referring to agricultural crops, some will say, which means greens, vegetables and fruits, and yes, to your perception. But what if an off, on or in-will group thinks of us as an agricultural crop? Here is the description of agriculture. Agriculture is the science and art of cultivating plants and livestock. Now, your interpretation of livestock assumes it is to do with animals. But what if we are the livestock? Is there evidence of this? Yes, in the Hebrew Talmud again, they describe us, the Goyim, as animals, beasts, and reference us as pigs. All of those are our own livestock terms. One of the parents who ran this planet for so long also echoed the Hebrew Talmud, same program, same beings as why. She said, "Children is what you are, the children of animals." Our birth certificates are a livestock traded upon within the markets, which are called stocks. We are the living or live stock. Now, livestock can be said as one word or two, but whether two or one word, the essence and notion behind it is one and the same. We are told by the tribal peoples that the gods brought us the technology called agriculture. Why? To fatten us up. Think different. They told you all in Jupiter ascending, they consume our life force. In their religious ceremonies, they told us to eat the flesh and drink the blood of Christ. That is cannibalism. But it's symbolic, Thomas. Symbolic of what, I would ask? Symbolic of what? And it's them and their fun and games again, telling you to your face what they do. You cannot grasp it, as they have told you the reverse, that man is top of the food chain. But when have they ever told us the truth? Canny means to consume, Baal the god. So cannibalism is to consume the flesh of man as a sacrifice to the entity known as Baal, which is a title, not a name. Consuming the flesh plays into another time mind memory of time flies. But what do flies do? Over time, they consume the dead flesh, as evidenced by roadkills. Does that mean flies are time machines? You do realise we already have a time machine, and no, it's not a DeLorean car. It's called a macabre. Back to the future? But how can you go back in linear time to the future? You can't, as the future is outside of time by a factor of 10,000 years. But how can time fly? Does it have wings? But how can you fly within time if it's linear, upon the conveyor belt of linear time? No, that is driving and not flying, is it not? They corralled us into zones, just like the districts in the Hunger Games movie, called time zones. A zone is a continuous area that differs in some respect, or is distinguished for some purpose from adjoining areas, or within which certain distinctive circumstances exist or are established. A continuous area distinguished from adjoining areas. Just like countries then. Time zones, based upon the rising and setting of the sun, they said. But there's only one problem with that. The actual sun never rises or sets. It only shines its beacon for all the galaxy to see on a permanent basis. Life here became like a movie stuck in time, a reel going round and round until the tape ran out. But then they reset it and did it all again. Yet we not only watched the repeating movie, we participated in it. They even made a series about it called Westworld, or is it really Western World, and so the more white race countries. And we just forgot we are the directors of time, space, life, creation, light, energy and vibration, plus the movie. That movie, as they reminded us, was called Groundhog Day. The day the hogs or pigs were grounded. All very Talmudic. Are you getting it now? An extra reminder. You gobbled it all up like greedy little piglets, Cassandra said. Perhaps Groundhog Day has another meaning now. And yes, I've probably ruined that as well. The opposite of time? No time. No contracts, no bindings, no restrictions. Freedom of will, choice and personal responsibility, all under the golden rule and Rita law. That allows things to flourish and flow and not bound by their time-limiting restrictions. And what flourishes then is life, living, expression, compassion, freedom of thought, work, play, rest, and above all, love. Time was not our creation. It was imposed upon us by technology. Only we are the creators of natural things, and we should never have consented to it or operated within it. What are you now going to create and then manifest springs to mind? Or it should do. What is time? Have you considered when was time? Or when was no time? It then begs the question of who was time? Your answer should be, I have no time for time, and it's time to end time. This has been the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams. I'll see you all next Tuesday. Bye for now.